Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good. You?
Yeah, no, I'm good, thanks. Good to see you. I've seen you for ages, see you a little while ago, didn't I? But
I know. I spoke to my mum, and I speak to my mum every day, but spoke to her and I said I'd spoke to you. She sends her regards and all the bits and family.
Yeah.
And my sister. So
no, likewise with my mum as well. It's exactly the same.
No, I know. Yes. Well, it's funny. We got a Christmas card from your mum.
Yeah.
5 weeks after Christmas, because we moved and we had to. You give the post office, you change your address, and they redirect your mail. Well, we got that 5 weeks after Christmas.
You could have saved it for the following Christmas. Could have kept
well, we
it,
said we won't open it. Yeah, we did say that we won't open it. We wait. I love your Pelly Bobby Moore photo, by the way.
Yeah, it's signed by Pele as well. Thank you.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
You know, I love that because it used to be in Chapel Heath. It used to be as you walked into Chapel Heath, West Ham, at the training ground, and it was up
right.
So when I worked there for a little while, and Sonny was there for a little while, and so I used to see it all the time. And then they refurbed the training ground, and they got rid of it. So
right, okay.
But so I've loved that picture ever since then, and it was a shame they got rid of it.
No, there's some great photos. A friend of mine's wife, a partner, isn't his wife, done an unbelievable photo. Listen, I don't know, I did all that of me and Bobby Moore together.
Right, okay.
Because I had a photo. I did, and I said to her, I've got a photo of me and Bobby Moore. I played quite a few years ago. Barbara might know. Bob, how long ago did I play in that? What was when I played in that five-a-side at Wembley? When was that? How long ago was that? I can't remember. Years ago.
John, get it involved. Get it on the camera. Get it involved.
That's interesting. I played. It was years ago. I played in the five-a-side tournament at Wembley.
Right.
With Bobby Moore.
Who else was in your team? That's a good.
Harry Cripps, who was my pal. Harry Cripps, who you had to have a mixture. Ed Stewart, who was a DJ. Ed Stewart was a goalkeeper.
Right.
Harry Cripps, Bobby Moore, and I can't think of it. The other one was a sportsman, and I can't think who he was.
Did you win? Did you win it?
Sorry?
Did you win it?
Got beat in the final.
Oh, who beat you?
I can't remember.
Bobby Moore don't get beat in finals.
No. I can't remember. But from then on, I was like quite a young man. I think it might have been about the time that when Maidstone had won what would be the conference to go into the Football League, and I got invited to. That was why. But it was Cripsy, because I knew Harry Cripps really close. And when Harry Cripps packed up playing football, because Harry was a young player at West Ham, Cripsy, and would become a legend at Millwall.
Yeah.
And he ended up my insurance broker. I was good. I was great friends with him. I was great friends with Cripsy. But from that thing, I got to know Bob. I got to know him really, and I used to go to the training ground over the years. And my pal, that when I made my debut for Orient, my pal was Tommy Taylor. We made our debut. I'm still friends with Tom now. I speak to Tom most days, and he played in the same West Ham team with two centre halves, him and Bob. So I got to know him, towards the end of his time at West Ham, really well. And when people say he was, and I'm like, when you look at footballers now, he was completely not like that. He was so easygoing, so friendly, never up himself. It was good as gold. Fun, isn't it? There you are.
Yeah, that's good work. Look, as I say, you don't lose finals, so I'm just wondering what you were doing in that final.
I think it was my fault.
Yeah. But how many times you played at Wembley? You mentioned that at Wembley. How many times you actually?
3 times.
Right.
I played there 3 times, and managed there once. My team took a team there.
What was that? Playoff final?
Playoff final to go into Div 1. We beat Dagenham beat Rotherham.
Okay.
Wembley. Yeah.
But I remember. I kind of remember, not actually at the time because I was only about 5, but I remember when you went to the final with Stalford. I remember my mum and dad.
Yeah. 74.
Yeah, and you won then. What was the other 2 times you played there then?
Oh yeah, don't talk about the other 2.
No, okay. Right. Okay.
We got beat 4-1. I think it was 4-1 and 3-1. 4-1 and 3-1. I think 4-1 definitely won. But it is interesting. In the 4-1, we got beat by Skelmersdale, and it was the game was on my 21st birthday. How about that? I was 21 that day, and the centre forward, I was centre half, as you know, centre forward scored a hat trick. Right? But hold on. But not all my fault. But what at the time, but I laugh over the years. After he scored his 3rd goal, they made the papers and that made a big thing about it being my birthday, 21st birthday. After he scored the 3rd goal, as he's run past and I'm trudging back, he was singing "Happy Birthday to You."
I thought you were going to say "Give you the ball," John. I thought you were going to say "Give you the ball" as a present.
And then I think I spent the rest of the game just trying to clout him, but I didn't. It wasn't my greatest day, to be honest. The other one, the Enfield one, we got beat. I got beat, and I played okay, but I didn't play well in that one.
Is it a completely different day? So, like, obviously, you said you've been to Wembley 4 times, but I can imagine it's a completely different day. But at Wembley, if you win, you want to stay on the pitch the whole day, don't you, and celebrate. Or if you lose, or you want to just get out there
straight off. Straight off. But you have to do that thing of when you lost, is like stay there till they get the trophy and clap them down. And which I understand, but at the time you don't want to. It's win or lose. It is a great day. Seriously, so the actual occasion, it's brilliant. It's a great day, and the lead up to it, like a couple of days before you go there, you look around, and it's a good thing. But once you get in the dressing room, you just want to go home.
I can understand. It's like, but are you glad now? Looking back on it, that you have had to experience both sides of it? Like, of course, you'd love to be here with a 4 out of 4 record, of course, but looking back now, would you have learned a lot from them defeats, thinking, you know what, I don't want to feel that again?
Yeah, you know what, it's part of you. I think it's part of your journey. I played there 2 years running. I was 19 in the first one, and because it was my birthday in April, I was actually 21 the following year when it played. It was a bit later, so I played 2 years running and got beat twice. The 2 years running. Then we missed one. Then I played got beaten in a semi-final, and then we got there again, which was the last one, which was 74, and one is. And I packed up in 75 with injury. So I look back saying, to have that in such a short period of time, that wasn't spread over 10 and 12 years of a career or 15 years of a career. That was spread over literally 5. Like, I had 3 finals and a semi-final in 5 years.
Wow,
incredible! No, it was incredible. But I think that molds you a bit, and I actually did learn at a young age about never get too high with success or too low with failure. Treat them both, they're imposters. You treat them both the same. And I do think that actually helped me when I transferred and got into managing. That I'd learned about being too high and too low. And I think that was probably a good thing in the end. Not a good thing at the time. Not a good thing at the time.
That's what I'm saying. I'm even be gutted now, like thinking, I could imagine losing there. Like, that's what you initially actually. But that's what I was wondering. Just obviously, did it help you as you progressed on, thinking, you know what, that feeling there and go about things different and that? Would you be superstitious going into Wembley? Just interestingly enough, like would there be, if you had lost it, you think, I'm not sitting in that seat again or something like that? or a change of dressing room or anything like that?
You know what? A lot of people, a lot of players, and I was probably one, would say that they weren't that superstitious, but we all were.
Yeah.
We just maybe a little thing. It might be something. Had the same thing for breakfast, or got beat last year. I don't want to do that this year. I'm going to. Yeah. I think you are. I don't look at myself as a superstitious person. But having said that, I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure. I know that I would have perhaps done something different if it hadn't quite worked for me. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Not wear the same pair of pants for 6 months and all that. I don't do nothing like that.
No, don't do that.
Only if you win. Only if you win, you do that. As it is.
With your, because I look back at when I played and I had injuries at 15, 16, 17. I still went on and played a bit of non-league and a bit of senior football. And I actually stopped playing. I think my last competitive game was at 42. I don't know how I carried on playing. And then went into coaching, went into management. And I think I was even player manager in my 30s. I really miss playing. Even today, I miss playing. But being a manager and being a coach is like absolutely the next best thing. Because you manage more than you played, is it the other way around? Do you prefer being a manager and a coach rather than a player, or do you still miss that side of it?
Well, it's interesting you saying it. When I managed Peterborough, I'd done an interview thing about it when I just joined, and I was just going through things, and asked me a question. They knew I packed up young, and they said, like, it is like managing. Did that replace your playing career? And I said, if I could play tomorrow, park football, but be able to play football tomorrow, I'd pack up managing now.
Yeah.
There's nothing like playing. I don't think so. There is nothing. Managing's okay, and not so it's better than okay. Of course, I didn't mean to say it like that, but managing's okay. But that putting your boots on and going out onto the pitch and your energy and everything, and although you play for the team, you've got your own personal pride and to feel that, managing has never ever matched up to that for me, ever. I mean, I only got into managing purely by chance. I made my debut for Leyton Orient at 17, and I done my knee in that game, and I was out for some time. And I couldn't train properly. They didn't have like what you can do now to injuries. Not mine. Mine ended up being my cruciate, and that really finished you. But I tried to carry on. I had different things. I was very lucky because Theo Foley, who ended up working with George Graham at Arsenal, took me to Charlton when I got let go by Orient. And he said, John, let's see what we can do here. We can do a training program for you. And I went to Charlton. Eddie Fermani was the manager. Theo was the coach. And I spent, they done brilliant for me. And I got okay, but training every day was just killing me. I couldn't train every day. So eventually I went and played a bit of like non-league, national league, what is national league now, and had a great time, a great run of games, of the cup competitions, and with good sides, good players. But eventually it just wouldn't last, and that's sort of when I had to pack up, and the realism of great respect, got to go and get a proper job. Got to go to work, got to get a proper job, and I was a bit lucky with some of that as well. And football actually helped a little bit with that. Yeah. We've been able to find what I call a proper job, and I ended, I was at Leytonstone. I think you would remember that time as well. I was at Leytonstone, and I was just there. I'd packed up there at Leytonstone, and the manager had to have some time off because his wife was ill. So the old chairman said to me, John, look after the team till he comes back. And I said, well, not really. I used to go there just to try and have some sort of fitness, not to play because I'd finished. In the end, he said, come and just look help and that. And I started and got to the end of the season and the manager wasn't coming back. I don't think I was 27, very young. And so I said, all right, he said, do it for a year, just do it. So I did it for a year. We won promotion. Then we won promotion the following year. And it just really, and that was part-time. And it just really snowballed from there. But it was never an intention for me to want to do that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I remember that time because that was when it kind of went Leytonstone Ilford.
Yeah, yeah. And I think your brother came down and done some training sometime as well. I'm sure
he did. I played in the reserves for about a year.
I can remember that
Leonard and Tony Sorrells and
that's it. Yeah.
Leonard ended up at Watford, I think, didn't he? Or something.
Leonard, I sold him to Watford. Yeah. David Bassett.
Yeah, that's right. John Stimpson as well. Is it John Stimpson? Another boy you had?
Yeah, Simo, midfield player, little Simo,
Yeah, few boys I played with him. Went on and did really well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no, and you know what, and I loved them times. I loved them lads. They were all going to work, all rushing in from work to train. And
Wadham Lodge, wasn't it? Wadham Lodge we trained at.
Sorry?
Wadham Lodge, wasn't it? We trained at
Wadham Lodge, trained at Wadham, yeah. No, it was, but yeah, I loved it, and I was lucky because I had fortunately through football helped me a bit that I've got a really good job. Yeah. I love my job, and when I managed Maidstone and we got into the Football League, I wouldn't leave my job. I didn't want to leave my job. I left Maidstone and stayed working for a company because I sort of was a manager of quite a big company, and I loved my job. I loved doing the football part-time. It was brilliant, but I just one day, I don't know, like we'd got promotion. We was in the National League, and there wasn't playoffs then, but we came second, I think. And out of the blue, I got the chance to go to Peterborough, and I had a big decision to make because Peterborough was a good club. Yeah, and I'd done all right work-wise. I wasn't skint, so I thought, you know what? If I don't take this chance now, I'm never ever going to do it. So I took a chance, and touch wood, it all went, as well as I could expect, really.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's good. What my brother Stephen, he said you've got to remind John or ask John. He said to me about Bishop Stortford days. He said the Fox's Glacier mints. He said he used to go with. Sorry, boys. Sorry, this is. He used to go with Aunt Pat and Uncle Len, which were your mum and dad, but that's Aunt Pat and Uncle Len to me. And then he said if Bishop Stortford were losing, he said Aunt Pat would always give them Fox's Glacier mints because they were blue and white, and Stortford would score. So that he said you got to tell John about that. So I said, all right, I will. I'll tell him.
I do remember the Fox's Glacier mints. Yeah, my dad used to have them all the time. So yeah, I do remember. Yeah, I do. But it's funny how he's talking about it a little bit earlier. It's funny about how little things people get attached to, not just players, little things,
superstitions.
Little superstitions that people have, and that you don't even know about. You don't realise it at the time, but when something comes up later and they go, now the reason I used to do that, we had a guy, Lenny, when I managed Dartford for a while, and we had we were coming up towards the end of the season, and we were well top. We were top of the league, but the game that we were going to play to win it, to actually win the league, we'd have won it anyway. But this game, there's about 5 or 6 games to go, so we were going to. So at half time, Lenny, who was the kit man, used to give me a cup of coffee at half time, and on this particular occasion, he gave me the cup of coffee at half time, and it had sugar in it. I don't have sugar. So I tasted it. I said, Len, sugar, what's the matter with you? You know I don't have sugar on that. And he walked over to me and he went, if you remember your first game here, he went, I gave you coffee with sugar in it. He says, and we were drawing at half time and we won the game. Well, we want to win the game, so I've done exactly it. Now, how did he remember that?
Do you know way, that's mad.
How did he remember that? But they do.
Did you win?
Yeah.
It works, right?
Yeah. No, we did. We won. But like, they used to call him, he was a kit man, he's called him Lenny the Kit. And you know what? He knew everything about everything. And it's amazing. I've got a really good story that I'm sure you'll all enjoy. So, because when I was younger, my pals all went on. Like I finished. I was just getting into a bit of managing, and I used to go to West Ham. I become good friends with John Lyle. I love John Lyle, but my pals there, Tommy Taylor was there, Frank Lampard was there. I went to school with Frank. Patsy Holland was there. Roger Cross was there. All my pals that I'd played with. So I was in John Lyle's office one day, and something happened about a player. I can't remember this. I can't remember the player, but something had happened, and he was sitting in there and go, "Yeah, he's injured. He'll be out for a few weeks." He said, "I said, oh, Johnny's going to be a big miss for you, isn't he?" And he looked at me, John Lyle, and he went, "Let me tell you a story." He said, "How? Let me tell you what's important." He went, "If I'm not here," he said, if something happens and I'm not here," he went, "Eddie, who was the assistant manager to me, he said, Eddie Bailey can take over. He can do the team. If Eddie Bailey's not here," he says, and he said, "Boyce can do it. Boyce knows everything. Been here from a kid. He knows everything. He knows how it works. Boyce is top man." He said, he can do it. He says, "If Boyce is not here," he went, "I'll get a couple of senior players. They can look after it. No problems at all." He said that. He went, "And if they're not here, Tony Carr can do it. Tony does it. He knows how the club works, knows that." He went, "Can I swear? Is it okay if I swear?"
Yeah, good.
Yeah. And he went, "If the kit man don't turn up, we're all fucked." He went, "No one knows where anything is other than the kit man."
That's true.
He went, "So I only panic when the kit man ain't here."
That's so true, though, isn't it? That's so true.
It is. The kit man knows he knows where the tea is, the coffee is. He knows where your boots are. He knows where the training kit is. He knows where the towels are. You know, and the thing is, no one else even has a key.
Yeah. Everyone will be in there taking all the right sizes.
I know. But so when people talk about he's an important player, but hold on, we can get another player, but we can't get the kit man if it's ill, we've had it. But it's true. It really is true. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Go on, Ed. Go on. No, go on.
Joe, when was it when did you feel and when was the change that you thought, I'm an established manager now? Like, because like you're saying, you weren't really looking to get into it where you thought, you know what, I've got a good chance of having a very good managerial career. Yeah, when was it? Was there a switch, or was it kind of just carried on? Yeah.
Probably when I was working, I didn't really I was working and I managed like Dagenham, Dartford, and I had a good run of teams. Leytonstone, we won the league. I went to Dartford and we won the league at Dartford. And then I went from Dartford, I think, to Maidstone, and we won the league, got in the football league. But as I said, the work was fine. I was happy with that. I think when Peterborough, who were in the Championship then, and they come to me towards the end of the season, they were going down. They was already relegated. They had about a few games to go, but they were relegated. And I thought, it's a Championship club. I must be doing something right. I must be doing something right. And that's when I thought, I have to make a decision here, because I had a good job, like financially good and everything. So I thought to myself, so I turned down the opportunity when I took Maidstone into the league to become a league manager. And I thought, if I don't do it now, perhaps I'll never do it. So probably then, that because although it was Peterborough, I had a few other clubs, Colchester, Cambridge, Southend, that had come on, but this was a championship club. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, yeah, perhaps I do need to do it. So probably then, and when I went there, I thought this would perhaps be a ladder to progress. And when I hadn't done it before, I didn't, but some people I know would have said to me that perhaps did I show a lack of ambition? Well, I never ever showed a lack of ambition. Like, my life was happy. I was happy with my life, perfectly happy. Having made the step, I knew I had to step up again myself. I was quite, understanding of that. And I have to say that when I went to manage, I think I'd done a brilliant job at the jobs I've done. And when I went to Peterborough, I thought I was poor. I don't think I was very good. I was surprised that the quality of players wasn't as good as I thought it would be, if I'm being honest. I didn't think that the players were as good and I found it hard to get my methods over to them. I look back now, that wasn't just them, that was me. I perhaps didn't. I'd gone from managing, I know this sounds silly, but outside of the Football League, I was managing the best players in the country, because we were always in what is the National League now, like at the top, like the best players at those levels. When I went to Peterborough, I wasn't managing the best players at those levels. They weren't the best players at those levels. They were better players than I had, but the level was obviously higher, of course. And I perhaps didn't quite understand that then. And that failure, I have a thing about failure. I sometimes say, like, your biggest strength can be your biggest failure, or vice versa. Your biggest failure can lead to your biggest strength because you've learned something. And what I learned there, I think, helped me to go and manage clubs I wanted to manage, not that I had to manage. I've been lucky. I've been able to manage clubs that I actually wanted to manage. I've had, some great offers of clubs. I don't regret not going to some of them. I don't. Probably have one regret, but I've been able to go to clubs that I want to go to. Not, I've got to go to work. I've got to, I've got to have that job. So I'm a manager. I've got to take a job. I've been fortunate. And I think that the lesson I learned at Peterborough was you've got to look at your players and decide how best they can play. Not, this is how I want to play with those players that perhaps can't play the way I want to play. And I think that taught me that.
Yeah, was that naivety then a little bit at your stage? Where
Absolutely.
You're moving up, obviously, to the full time.
And I thought I was better than I was. I wasn't. I thought I was, I was young, I was brash. I was not brash, but young and confident and all that. And it was almost, what, you can't do this. What you can't, I had players that could do that. Other than saying, well, can't do that, but maybe we've got to look at another way of doing this then. But I learned that, that's just like learning.
Right.
I know.
Yeah,
it is, no, absolutely, 100%.
No, thank you. John, when I talk to a lot of players that have played for you, and you bump into them and come across them, a lot of them have got so much praise for you and say like you've been a real inspiration to them as players. What do you think that is about you and your style? Is it your openness and honesty, do you think?
I think it might be. It's different for different players, but I think that I think it comes from something that when I was like a young player, 15, 16, just getting into the professional side of things, of playing, and like I sort of, when I was a young player, when I left school and when I went to Orient, I was never coached or encouraged, and I've got to be honest, I wasn't. It was out you go, and there was no coaching like you get now. There was nothing like that. It really wasn't. And when I used to sign players, I used to sit down with them and I used to tell them before I signed them exactly what I thought and exactly how I thought we could help them and how they could help themselves. So I would spend a lot of time talking to them about, and I never, I mean, nowadays people sign players off of the internet. They watch games on, you know, and well, you know, you just go and watch players and see them and get a feeling for them and get an understanding for how they played. And it's really interesting that I've been I love enthusiasm. I was enthusiastic myself. I love enthusiasm. And lots of the younger players that I've signed that have all had that raw enthusiasm. And I think if you've got that, you know that they're going to spend a lot of time trying to learn their skills. Do you know what I mean? And I did. And it's quite interesting. I've done a radio thing at Media City at Salford up in Manchester. This was a little while ago with Mark Clement. He does the football on the BBC. He's a football interviewer on BBC, but he used to have a radio show up there. And he'd had a meeting, I think, or he'd done a thing with Dwight Gow at Newcastle. And I took Dwight from Stansted. I signed him from Stansted. And he ended up eventually going to Newcastle for about £13 million. And they had an interview with him and they was just talking about it. And Clem, who I know Mark Clement as well, but so he was just talking to him and he said, well, you know, you've arrived here and tell us your story. He said, when I was playing for Stansted, he says, and John Still come and watch the game and he took me there and I've been let go at Arsenal, he says, and John sort of spent so much time like talking to me and before I went there and took me in and we'd done a thing, he says, and he went, and I just think that now people you don't really get that. They used to get pushed out. So I've done a lot of that with younger players, you know, lots of times I've had some great loan players that have come from bigger clubs, technically bigger clubs than they're coming to on loan. And when they come in, I spend about an hour with them. I asked about their mum and dad. I know it sounds silly. I asked their sisters, brothers, and all that, and get to know them and things like. And the amount of players that have said like how easy they found it to work in that type of environment. I suppose it's there. I mean, Matt Cash has just gone from Nottingham Forest this season to Aston Villa for about £12 million. I took Matt on loan to Dagenham. Matt Ritchie, who's at Newcastle now, I took Matt off of Harry Redknapp from Portsmouth when he was young, and just go down there, go to the training grounds and see who was playing and get a feel. But they all had the same thing, the enthusiasm. And I just think that spending time with them and, you know, not just coaching them, but just, you know, knowing about them, I just always found that really, really, really important. If, you know, when I had a proper job, I learned more about people than football ever taught me. I had my boss was a guy called Tom Miley, and Tom loved me because I'd done football. Tom was a Newcastle supporter as well, but he loved me, Tom. And that's why I think I've got the manager's job, if I'm being honest. I do. I think that. But anyway, so Tom used to say to me, like, Tom knew everyone. All the people that we had, factories, we had depots, but Tom knew everyone. I found that incredible. There were so many people. He knew everyone. But what he also knew, he knew who was getting married, who had died, who was wife had left them, who was doing this, who, you know, because, and he used to say to me, most important part of the job is walking the job. Walk around, say good morning to people, to get to know how many children, if they've had a baby. And Tom used to do crazy things. If someone was getting married or had a baby, Tom used to send them flowers. And everyone loved Tom. Like, and normally the boss of a big company, they don't always like him, but everyone liked him. They loved his manner. Do you know what I mean? And he would do things like, I'll never forget one. I can't remember the lady's name, but her daughter had a baby. It was in a time before maternity leave and everything like that. And Tom, walking around, I was with him, so I know. And he says, "How's she doing?" So I said, "Oh, like we're still waiting." He says, and so Tom walked up to her and said, "Look, tell you what, when she's had the baby, take the week off. Don't worry about it. Don't worry, you be paid. Just because I know she's had a bad time. We'll look after that. You go and you make sure that's sorted out." And like everyone around it said, "What a nice thing to do." Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I learned that from him. I learned that from him. That nothing to do with the job, but I took that into football.
Yeah, it's man management, isn't it? Rather than like, you know, it's like you said, if you for me, as a, like, if I was that and someone done that to me, you'd want to run through a wall for them, wouldn't you? So it's
100%.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's a great insight. That's
100%. And so whenever I'm at a football club, I walk the job. When I sign a player, I sit down with him. I go, "Mary, got a girlfriend? What's your girlfriend's name?" And like, "Yeah, okay, yeah. You buying a house?" "Oh, yeah. Your mum and dad come to football? They come and watch today?" "Okay, well, tell them there's tickets for them when they come to games. They go in the hospitality area, they do all that. And when they come first time, I'll say to them, when your mum and dad come, when they're waiting for you, tell them to wait. I come and introduce myself to them," and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you spoke about the importance of like getting to know players, like on a personal level. You spoke about family and stuff like that, but with the young players, obviously being a young player myself, as much as getting to know them, what advice did you give them as well? Whether that was going into games, how they should train, that sort of stuff.
You know, I think that, greatest respect, you all know this, Eve, Sonny, even at your age, players can be quite complex. Some like this, some like that. Some players sit quietly in a corner and don't say boo to a ghost. Others are standing up, jumping up and down and shouting at people. So I think players can be different. But you know, I've always believed that preparation is key. To prepare for training, to prepare for games is key. But preparation is different for different people. You know, it's so difficult. You know, I think as Dad was saying there, some players have to put their left sock on first, and if they don't, they think, that would happen. Or some people just have a different way of preparing, and it can be quite easy to prepare a certain way at home games in your own dressing room, your own environment. But when you play away, sometimes some of the things in your own environment are not available. So it can be quite complex. But I have three things that I've just tried to impose on training and games. Do I say it all the time before training? No, but I certainly say it before the games. The last thing I would normally say as a group are going out: start fast, play hard, don't fanny back. You've got to get into the game, play hard, yeah, and be a team player. They're the things. Now, those three things can come in different boxes. You haven't got to say those three things. But by and large, if you're not enthusiastic and you work hard, and I think you know, normally you ain't going to be great. If you're not prepared, got to be prepared. Your preparation's got to be right. You know, all of them things. But your personal preparation is so, Sonny, it's so different for different people. I had a guy, a top player, a boy called Les Berry. Les had played for Charlton for a long time. He was a really, really, really good player. And this was in my younger days. These were in my Maidstone days, the Maidstone team that got into the Football League. And I wanted an experienced player, defender. And Les was at Charlton, and I didn't know him. But I used to watch a lot of football, and Les was a top player. And I heard that he was talking about packing up. He was about 35. So I managed to get hold of him, and I went round his house. He lived in Bromley in Kent. And I went over to see him, and I convinced him to come to Maidstone. And when he came, I mean, you're talking about Les had been a top player, a really, really top player. So we came to Maidstone. I thought, I'll learn a lot from Les. I was still reasonably young. I'll learn a lot from Les. And so anyway, so I'd signed him, and we just got to the pre-season games, and Les paused me one day just before. I don't think it was the day of the game, probably the day before the game, and he said, "Look," he says, "just one thing." He said, "I know you're a stickler for certain things, but before the game, don't worry about me." Because I had this vision of Les out there stretching and sprinting and start running and jumping, doing a bit of before, like, what they traditionally called a warm-up. Now it wasn't called a warm-up then, but yeah, I had Les. Anyway, so the players all got ready to go out for the warm-up, and me and my assistant Terry House, Georgie Dudley, sorry, we couldn't see Les. So where's Les? All going out to warm up, and Les wasn't there. So Kit Man, here he goes, Kit Man said, "I see Les walk out into the car park." So I walked out the car park and walked down, and it's a players' club, so there's one of the cars, and I see Les in his car reading a paper, drinking a cup of tea. So I was knock on the window. I go, "Les, what are you doing?" He goes, "Don't worry about me. When the game starts, I'll be ready." So I thought, well, I have to speak to him. I can't have this. So anyway, I've gone back in the dressing room. Anyway, the players have come in from their warm-up, I don't know, 2:30, 25 to 3, 3 o'clock kick-off. Still no Les. Anyway, about 20, now you go out at 10 to. Anyway, about 22, Les comes walking into the dressing room. And I walked, as he was coming in, I was walking out from the dressing room only to the room, to the toilets. So I've gone to the toilet, I've come back out, and Les has changed. He was like Superman in the phone box. 2 minutes I've been there, I've come back, Les was changed, ready to go. So we've gone out there, and the players have just gone out and just waiting almost to kick off. And there's Les doing these sprints from the penalty box to the centre circle, just like that. And he does about, and as he comes back off the last one, the referee's blowing the whistle at the start. And he was just immaculate as a player. He was just, and he was all season. And so I got to know, I go, "What's all that about this?" He says, "No, when I go out and do that warm-up, I don't feel like I'm," and you come back in the dressing room and you're hanging around for 10 minutes, putting his pads on and doing that. He went, "I can't do any of that." He went, "I ain't ready." He went, "So I like to go and relax." He said, "When we go out," he said, "I have this little sprint session." Barbara, battery's gone.
No, we can still hear you, mate. It's just that the cameras went off.
Is it your camera or me?
No, it's your one. Your camera's gone off.
Oh, hang on.
Hold on.
It's just saying no battery.
Oh, are we back?
That's
Sorry.
you, Sonny. You're not a fan of warm-ups,
My
are you?
secretary.
You've got 10%.
Sorry. All right.
It's good
So,
for Barbara's there.
yeah, it is, because I'll do.
Behind every great man, they say. Don't they?
Yeah, all right. Yeah. He's a moaner. Yeah. So like that's just what suited him, and I learned that. That's what you learn, isn't it? That you put things in place for the whole group, but as long as people, if they don't do that, I go, "That's okay if you don't do it. Make sure you play properly. Make sure you're ready." And if they do, you can't change that, can you? It's not for everyone.
It's adapting to different players, like how they are, isn't it? Yeah.
And trust in them.
Yeah.
Listen, if Les had gone out and was hopeless, I'd have been sitting down talking to Les. Now listen, let's have a look at this. But when I say he was immaculate, I'm talking about he was just immaculate. He was a class apart. He really was. So that's all. They think perhaps because you're the manager, you know everything, and you don't. You don't know it. You can learn as you go along. Of course you can. But with players, I think you have to give them that little bit of headway to if they have a way of doing things. And if that works, it works. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's true.
What about you? What do you do? How do you prepare?
Me?
Yeah.
I am a bit superstitious. I'll be honest. I always get everything ready the night before. When I was younger, I asked Dad, like, how can I improve my game? And he said, just start off with simple. So just packing your bag the night before. It's like, because maybe that extra 1%, like you said, preparation is so important, isn't it?
It
Can
is,
help your performance. Getting the right amount of sleep, no late nights on whenever I'm playing. Before a game, I'm quite quiet. I like to sit there and just have like my own sort of time. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a fan of just sitting around in the changing room, no. But when I am, like I said, I like to just sit to myself, almost just not think about the game, because I never think about what I'm going to do in the game, because I think what's so important in football, it's all natural, isn't it? So
yes. Yeah.
It's important. I think it's important to think about maybe scenarios. Well, if I pick up the ball somewhere out wide, you know, think about defenders' positioning and that. But I'll figure that out very early on in the game. Apart from that, yeah, it's just like I said, being to myself before a game. I don't really speak, but when I get on the pitch, my whole focus is about winning the game. And I like to have fun, but it's all about winning for me.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, isn't it, that like winning is the all-important thing, isn't it? Football can be a selfish game, and you can lose 3-2, and I'm a centre forward, I've scored 2 goals, and I come off, well, I'm disappointed we lost, but I'm happy I've got 2 goals. So I think there's a line that you have to sort of work to, of what is happy, if you like, you know, what is happy. And it's funny that I had a player called Marlon King, who was a top player. I sold Marlon for a lot of money. Marlon played Premier League, and he was an acquired taste, to be honest, as a person. I got on great with him, but he didn't get on with everybody. But Marlon would have this thing, you know, that he was a goal scorer, but things that used to inspire him, if you like. And a funny thing, he was only young, but I learned this from him as well, and I learned to look from it when I'm looking for players. He said, goal scorers, he went, if you win 5-0 and you get goal 4 and 5, he said, anyone can get 4 and 5. Like, I've got goal number 4, I've got number 5. He said, most important goals to score are first goals and winning goals.
Yeah.
So I might score 15 goals and you might score 20 goals, but my 15 goals have been first goals and winning goals. Yours might have been number 4 and number 5, number 2 and number 3. He went, well, the hardest goals to score, and he's right, they are the hardest goals to score.
Yeah.
So
when moments, aren't they?
Yeah. So when I look at, I'm after a centre forward, and I look at their goal scoring, I've got good scoring records. I always look back and go, how many first goals and how many winning goals?
Yeah. That's mad. That way it sticks with you. Yeah. It's so true, that's all, isn't it?
Yeah, but and you know what? It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. First goals and winning goals. Yeah, the most important goals.
You talk about goals.
He had a good career, Marlon King, as well, didn't he?
Had an unbelievable career. As I said, he wasn't. I mean, I took him. I found him by chance. I don't even know where I've been, but I was in South London, coming back through South London past Dulwich Hamlet's ground, old ground, and the lights were on. And I was at a time when I knew what was going on in football, and I thought, Dulwich are not playing tonight. And anyway, I stopped off there and just walked in. I thought perhaps they are playing, but when I walked in, it wasn't. It was a reserve team game, and I actually knew the chairman of Dulwich Hamlet, and he was there, and I was talking to him, and this little kid. Oh, he's a good player, that boy. I like him. He said, oh, yeah, he's only 18. He said he'd come here. He said he was at Millwall, and I really liked him. And anyway, cut a long story short, I said, is he playing? He said, well, he don't play in the first team, but he's around the first team. Anyway, I think a couple of weeks had gone past, and I sent a pal who done some scouting for me to say, go have a look at Daddy, see if this boy plays. And just by chance, he did play in the first team. He said, oh, he done really well. And I signed him. I signed him at Barnet. And he was a tough kid. He was a South London kid, but he was tough. tough. Not always easy to deal with. But he was absolutely brilliant. And we sold him, I think, 700 grand. I think we sold him for something soppy, right? And he ended up Premier League with Bolton, with Phil Brown. And he played around that level for a long time, but he was a good player. He was a very, very talented kid.
That's mad though, isn't it? Just if you wouldn't have been driving through hey, decided to go to them flood. Yeah. And that's why there's so many things in life that you know, and then that's just mad, isn't it? Like stuff like that I really believe in, like fate and stuff like it. You know, if you had to, you know, obviously if you had to rush home, you know, your wife had made you and you wouldn't have stopped or something like that.
I know.
This kid could have fell away, or you know, and then there's another side of it. They say cream rises to the top, I suppose. When someone else would have walked in, his chance would have come another way. But you know, if you're involved in it, and then like, I see you as the start of his journey. Yeah, it's mad.
Do you ever see the film Sliding Doors?
Yes.
No.
Yes. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Then you've got to watch the film Sliding Doors.
Yeah, that's a good film.
Because it teaches you that 1 second too soon or 1 second behind changes the destiny of your life. How did you meet your wife? Seriously, how did you?
Unluckily.
Yeah, for a double six, I know. But yeah, hold on. She's just going to plug this in. Sorry.
Find it where it is.
Sorry.
I don't know. Yeah, got it.
That's it. Technology. So, but it is over the years. I had my chief scout for many years, a guy called Alan Daffel, who I played with at Leyton Orient, and he ended up, I got in the management being my chief scout, and he went to watch a game, and I think I'm going to say 80 minutes. He went to watch a player for me. 80 minutes, and the player wasn't what we would have wanted. And he was, should I go? Should I see the end of the game? The game was over as a game. I think it was 3-0 to someone, so he hadn't seen. And he went, yeah, I think I'll leave. He said, as I'm begin to walk out, walking past the tea hut, and someone there that I knew. He said, so I just started talking to him, and the sub come on. A little blonde boy come on. He went, and for 10 minutes, he absolutely he was a wide player, ran the full-back ragged. He said he looked about 10. He went, oh dear, I like him. And I remember him, I can remember the story, and he rang me, and I said, how'd the boy go? He went, no, not good. He said, but I brought this kid on. He said, he looked like a baby. He said, but God, he said, he did. So I said, well, go and go again, have a look, see what you see. So anyway, he come back. He said, come back. He said, he was sub again, come on at half time though. He said, but he was just, he said, don't stop. He said, he's like, he just don't stop. Anyway, so we followed it up, and eventually I took 3 players from that club. I took him, I took a centre half, I took a midfield player. The forward was Craig McCall-Smith, who I sold for thousands of pounds, Macca.
Yeah.
And he played for me as well at Luton. I took it to Luton when I went to Luton. So we sold Macca. Centre half called Shane Blackett, who took and done unbelievable, sold him to Peterborough for 250 grand. And then the other guy was a guy called Jack Midson. And Jack came to us there, and he'd done okay, but he went on and had a Football League career, a good Football League career. And it's only because Macca came on for 10 minutes, because the other 2 didn't stand out. But when he watched them again and again, they did stand out, if that makes sense. There you
John,
are.
that's what I was going to start. I was having a look up on it. Obviously, I've seen the clubs, and I used to love Craig McCall-Smith. I don't know why. I'll tell you why I did. He scored 5 on Sky. Was you the manager that day? Remember, he scored 5 on Sky for Peterborough.
No, I wasn't manager then.
No, but that's why I was. I didn't know whether to mention it or not, because obviously I was looking at the years and stuff. I was trying to work it out, but why I used to love. So he was the lad who you watched, Craven Carl Smith. Yeah,
he was. He didn't go to watch him, but he was the one that come on for 10 minutes.
So, like you said.
And I'll tell you what, I remember we met up with him, and I said to him, like, do you want to be a full-time player? He went, yeah. I said, look, what do you do for a living? He went, I work in a garden centre. He went, and I hate it. I hate it. And he just never stopped. He just wore you down. Do you know what I mean? He just absolutely wore you down, Macca. And he went, what great, could play for Scotland. Never even been there. Didn't know what Scotland was all about. But that comes for a relative. But he played for Scotland.
Like that.
How incredible is you know? I think I love them stories, because it's not like he come through an academy and had everything for him laid out for him and done that.
Well, Paul Benson's another one, isn't he? Paul
Benno played for a club called White Ensign.
Yeah, I played against him.
Yeah, Essex
Olympian
League. And I tell you, I got told about him. We got told about him. It was one of our scouts, but I can't remember how it came about.
I think I told you about him, but it was too late. Loads of people already told you about him. I was a bit late.
What happened? We went to watch him play at Loughton. It was at Debden.
Debden, yeah.
Debden.
Yeah.
And when we got there, and I met the guy there, I went with Terry Harris, and we met the guy there that had watched him, and he told us about Paul Benson. And the players were coming out, and as I was walking out, I said to the fellow, who's Paul Benson here? I just wanted to see how he come on there. And he went, that's him, carrying the top of the crossbar over, because they had to put the goals up. And Benno, I won't say he was great that day, but he scored 2 goals. And I know he's about opposition, but they were proper goal scorers goals.
Yeah.
And Benno, and we took Benno, and I had a boy called Trezor Kendall, who was centre forward then, and we took Benno, and in the end, Benno was doing that well. He was coming on in games, weren't starting, and TK was on fire, and we ended up selling him. Kendall, TK as we called him, we ended up selling him when we put Benno on. Benno was absolutely brilliant. But
I remember
when you look
playing against him, and
yeah,
exactly as you said, and there was a bit of hype about him, and he didn't do much in the game, and in the last 10 minutes he scored 2 absolute quality goals.
Mate, but it's, you know, I always go goal scorer. Listen, goal scorers are going to play against better defenders as they go higher, better goalkeepers, and all that.
Yeah.
But it's the technique. I mean, when I saw Dwight, I was shocked. He scored a couple of goals, Dwight Gale, that was like unbelievable. Andre Gray was another one. Andre wasn't, you know, he wasn't like great player, but he just scored goals, and his power and strength and they have that technically. That just something you can't coach it. It's not something you can coach. Sorry,
ruthlessness. When, you know, like, doesn't matter if it's 1 yard out or don't try and change. You bang, goal.
Yeah,
goal.
They know they know the finish, and it's really weird. I can remember quite an interesting story. This was years ago when I was starting. I took a boy from Leyton Orient, Frank Clark. I was watching Leyton Orient. I went over there. Patsy Holland was the youth team manager, and Patsy was my mate. I went and watched right at the end of the season. It was when I watched Leyton Orient's reserves. I was just starting out, Leytonstone then, starting out, and I went over there. Watched this last reserve game of the season, and there was this little blonde boy playing right back for Leyton Orient. He was bombing up and down. He was enthusiastic, and so after the game, I'm having a cup of tea with Patsy and Frank Clark, who was the manager, and Frank had been a great player. He was captain, I think, of the Nottingham Forest team that won the first European Cup first time. Frank was a terrific player, and so I'm talking about, and I went, oh, blonde boy, I liked him there, and Frank went, yeah, he's a good kid. He went, he ain't for us, so we're letting him go this year. He went, technically he's not there. And anyway, I said, I'd be interested in him. Anyway, the following day, I rang Patsy. I said, Patsy, tell me about the boy. He went, John, he said, he's so infused, he's great. He said, and I'm touch and go, but the gaffer, not for him, like. So I said, can you put me on to him? I'd have him. He was about 5'8", blonde hair, like really blonde. So we took him coming pre-season. And when he came in pre-season, I know you might laugh, because he was about 5'8", but he looked about 5'10" when he came in pre-season. I said, he went, yeah, he said, but all through the break, like, because the season had been over, he came to us pre-season. He went, I've been working with my dad, I've been loading lorries for 3 months, like 2 months, and he went and doing that, and I went to this and I've done that, and then I went on this run. He said it wasn't a marathon, he said, but it was like a mini marathon type thing. He said, I'll be doing, and he glowed, he was like super fit. Anyway, we started pre-season. He was a bit better than I thought, technically. Anyway, I put him straight in the team, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew, and he grew. And this was years ago, don't forget. He was a record signing for a defender in the country, and he played for England, Warren Barton.
Warren Barton, yeah.
Played for Newcastle and played for England.
Yeah.
£4 million, which was a record for a defender then.
Yeah.
Free transfer from Leyton Orient at 17.
Oh, yeah. You know,
I remember Warren Barton.
And I still speak to him now. He's in America, does Fox TV.
All right. Yeah. I've seen him come out.
You can change his life there, John.
Follow him on Twitter or something.
There you are.
Yeah.
So it's just, and people say, like, and I mean, you know me, so you know I'm not like this. So people, and I get it lots of times. I've done podcasts the other day for someone, and they had a list of all the players that have come from. Oh, all these players you found. I go, hold on. I might have worked with them, but I ain't found them all. It's other people that have put them to me, so I can't take that. You know, I can't. I've done my bit, but everyone's done their bit that has been involved in doing it. And I'm a funny person. I don't believe in luck. Otherwise, I'd always be saying I was unlucky there and unlucky there, and so I don't believe in luck. But I do believe the harder you work, the luckier you are.
Yeah, I agree. Would you say you're better known for Dagenham Redbridge? Because obviously over the years I've known you at Maidstone. I know you when you was at Barnet, you was at Bristol for a while, weren't you? You got Luton up. And I know, obviously, when I look back, I know when I talk about Uncle Len, Len's your dad, so in my head he's Uncle Len. Because I told Sonny he had to call you Uncle John today, but he weren't having it.
No. I have murders with this. Let me just tell you this. My nieces and nephews, Barbara Taylor, when I get older, I go, don't call me Uncle John. Don't call me John. But they don't. They call me Uncle John. But I don't. It's just. But they do call me Uncle John. But I ain't. You know, I used to call my dad Len.
But he was a big Dagenham fan, weren't he? And you was at Dagenham.
He was.
At the time.
And as I was a Dagenham I was a West Ham fan and Dagenham fan. Yeah. So Dagenham, if people say, do you have an affinity with any club? It's with Dagenham. Yes, 100%. And if I went to Dagenham once when I didn't really want to go there, by the way, but they wanted me to go there, and I couldn't not do it. I couldn't. I felt that I should do it. I didn't want to do it, but I did do it because it is my club, and you know, this might sound a bit soppy, but I was quite proud to have supported the club, played for the club, and managed the club.
Yeah,
and it's for me. It was my dad's club, and so it became important to me. My only regret about it is he wasn't with us when we got promotion into the Football League. That's but at the time I thought, well, it's great for me, but it's great for you. But I don't really have regrets about things. It's not like if I hadn't have done it, would I regret it? I don't think I would, because I'm not a person that has regrets. But on the other side, I'm so pleased that I got the opportunity, having watched them, to play for them and to manage them. And I've turned down. I mean, I turned down Bristol City to start Dagenham with the Championship. I turned down Bradford to start Dagenham. I turned down Hibernian to start Dagenham in the Scottish League because I loved managing Dagenham. I did, and like when I actually left Dagenham to go and manage Luton, and Luton were a division lower, and people always said, well, why did you do that? And this is honestly, or you know me, I wouldn't lie about this, right? I got someone ring me, an agent ring me. I've never had an agent. I look after myself. I'm a big boy. I don't need anyone to do things for me. But an agent rang me. He was working on behalf of Luton and said, would I be interested in going to Luton? And I said, no, I'm quite happy where I am. And he went, just come and meet me. He said, please just come and meet. So I went and met him. I knew about Luton. I get 7,000 or 8,000 people watching them, didn't they? They were a football league club playing in the National League, weren't they, at one time? Because they lost all them points. And anyway, he spoke about it. He went in the last. They've been out the league, I think 6 years, and they've had 5 managers, and no one can get it right. You've taken 2 teams out of the National League, Dagenham and Maidstone, into the Football League. What would it take for you to go there? I said, well, it wouldn't take anything because I don't want to do it. It's not something I want to do. So that's how we got left. Anyway, I got a call from the agent again. He went, will you do me one favour? Like, will you come and watch a Luton game when you're not playing? So I went, all right. The atmosphere was unbelievable, but it was a little bit toxic because with Luton, if you weren't one up in 10 minutes, the crowd were volatile is a word. Anyway, I got a call from David Pleat, David is a good pal of mine. He, as you know, managed Tottenham, managed Luton. Yeah. So he said, I hear a little rumour about Luton and you. So I said, yeah. He went, got time for a cup of coffee? So I said, yeah. So I went and met David. He went, John, it's a fantastic club, but it's a poison chalice. He said, like, they've had 5 managers. He went, if you ain't winning 2-0 after 20 minutes, the crowd are on you. But I couldn't get it out of my head. I know it sounds crazy. Like, no one can do it. I know it sounds crazy. And I thought, I've got to try and do this. And that's actually why I went to Luton. Honestly, you asked my Barbara. I said to her, I've got to do it.
And you did it?
Yeah. Dagenham were in the Football League. They were in a good position. They were in a good, we were. And I thought, I know it sounds, it's the only time ever where I couldn't get something out of my mind. So I went and I've done it all properly. Spoke to the club, said, look, I've had this and I do want to talk to them. And I had a relationship with them. They, like, sometimes they say, well, you can't talk to them, but I had a relationship with them. So I knew they'd say yes. So I went and met them at the Marriott Hotel in Waltham Abbey.
Yeah. Ground Zero, that, isn't it? Ground Zero.
Yeah. Everyone meets there. Everyone meets there. I think there was 10 other meetings going on at the same time on different tables. And then I went and met them at the hotel at St Pancras Station. There's a hotel at St Pancras Station. First I met Gary Sweet, the chief exec, and then I went and met the board. But I don't know. I remember coming back and saying to Barbara, like, if I hadn't got the right vibe, I wouldn't have done it. But and I didn't know them, and I just said, look, I have a way of doing things that I can't change. I said, you obviously want me because of how I do things. So I just need your word that you could, because I tell you now, if I come here, it might get worse before it gets better, because I have a way of doing things. It takes time. I need to get it in. I was really lucky because it was towards the end of the season, so I would have a few games at the end of the season to look at players and things. Anyway, yeah, they was all for it, and I did it. And on my first season, we won the league by a record number of points. Yeah. We got over 100 goals, and it was an incredible. If someone says to me what was the best promotion, it would be Dagenham because they're my team, so I can't. But emotionally, that is as well. That's emotion there. But like Luton, it was like such a. It was. Well, it's a championship club. It is everything about it. Everything they've done, and that was probably that come at a time that perhaps if it had come a year earlier or a year later, I might not have done it. But it's, for whatever reason, it came at the right time. But I am a first result I look for. First results I look for. I look at West Ham and I look at Dagenham. They're the result. I look at Luton's results. I manage them. I look at Peterborough's results. But I don't rush in to look at them. You know, West Ham and Dagenham are the only results I look at.
I come to see. I'll tell a story quick, John. I come to see you at Dagenham once. Come and watch the boys train and that, and then went and had a bit of lunch with you when you was at Mayon Baker. And then halfway through lunch, all these pensioners started coming in.
That's right. Yeah.
And I remember saying to you, "What's happening there?" And you said, "Oh, they do bingo." He said, and you said, "But when we moved there," he said, "I couldn't tell them to leave." So
I couldn't.
They still come here and do. So you've got all the players, and you got all the pensioners in the corner.
I know,
and I love that. I thought that was brilliant.
But it was funny, Peter, because when we went into Mayon Baker, that became our training ground, and I had a meeting there with the ladies that do the food, like the breakfast and lunch.
Food.
And
nice food.
It is. No, it's good. Yeah. So, and I didn't know nothing about it, but there was two ladies, and you know they were like my mum. They what do you want? You tell us what you want. Like, you know, and go on with it. Yeah. So they were lovely, lovely, lovely ladies. And then one of them just said in passing, I don't know who's going to tell the pensioners they can't come in for their bingo. Like, I mean, it was every. I think the bingo was it every Friday. It's every Friday. I think that
Friday or Wednesday. I can't remember when.
It might be Wednesday. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I said, "Do what?" She said, "Oh yeah, we have the pension." So someone will have to tell them. And I went, "Well, why can't they come in?" So I said, "Yeah, but all your players." I said, "Is it big enough for them to come in?" So I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, let them come in." Let them come in. That's all right. I don't care. That's all right. I mean, if someone had told my mum you can't go in and play bingo, she would have said, "Yes, I can. I'm going." But it is. So but all those things, you know, it's important. It's important.
No, it's personal. Who's the best player you've managed? Or is that too hard?
Yeah. You know what? It's like saying what's your favourite record, isn't it? Like, it can change. But I do have some soft spots. If that's like, it's like the people that weren't obvious, the people that didn't come with bags of talent. That work so hard that they find that talent. Do you know what I mean? It was, and I mean, Warren come from nothing. Warren Barton to play for England. Gary Breen, who played in the World Cup for Ireland, like done brilliant for me, done fantastic for me. Mikhail Smith, so they've all played for their country and played at the top level. So I'm sort of proud of that, of being involved in their path, which is, and sort of Dwight Gow playing Premier League and Kashi playing Premier League and Andre playing Premier League, but Anwar Uddin at Dagenham. I knew Anwar as a kid at West Ham. He was the most un-West Hamish player. He couldn't pass the ball to save his life. He wasn't a West Ham player, but he was a centre half. And I brought him in. I took him to Bristol Rovers when I went to Bristol Rovers, and he got a really bad injury. And when I went to Dagenham, I tried to get him to come to Dagenham, and he came. And I think although I'd won the league at Maidstone, and I think that my career took off from Dagenham getting into the Football League. I think that's when my career really took off, and and Anwar was an unbelievable inspiration on the pitch and in the dressing room. Was he the best player? No. Was he the biggest influence on what I wanted, how I wanted to play, and passing that over on the pitch and on the training ground? And gave me a belief in the methods that I really believed in could really work. They did work. They'd worked at Maidstone because to get into the league then, and I'd won the leagues with other clubs. But I just think that he brought something that inspired everybody else, but inspired me. His attitude, and he stayed with me. He was only one of the subs in the team that went from Div 2 to Div 1, but he was still around, and his inspiration shines like bright for me. So was he the best player? No. Was he the biggest influence? Yes. Yeah.
He managed Glebe a few years ago.
He did. Glebe, he managed Glebe.
Sonny was on the bench for him once.
Yeah, was he? What was I like, 14 or 15?
15. He brought him over, quite a lot. He brought him over, he stuck him on the bench. I don't think he was officially, he was too young. He wasn't allowed to play.
Yeah, he was too young, which put me on the
team.
Yeah.
But he's at Aldershot now, isn't he?
He's at Aldershot now. I'll speak to him regular. Sonny, tell me about Annie. What do you reckon?
He's very much, as much as he has his I remember it clearly, as much as he has his modern ways, he's very, I don't know how to say it, but like a little bit old school, like especially in the change room before. Yeah, but he does have his modern ways, but for him, it's all about, you got to die for him on the pitch.
100%. That's what he was like. 101%.
I remember the game. Literally every player, every time the opposition had the ball, it just had players sprinting full speed at him, going in for tackles and everything. That's what I remember from it. It was a massive game. Yeah, it was a massive brawl at the end of that game. I remember that.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to get him on here, John. I'm going to ask him to come on here as well, John.
Yeah, he was for me. He was. Yeah, and and you know what? I've remained very, very good friends. He rings me just say he's all shot now and said, "What do you think about this? And how do you feel we should do with that? And what do you?" But I love him. I love him.
He's a nice fellow.
The biggest influence.
John,
absolutely.
Honestly, I really appreciate your time. It's been amazing. It's always amazing to listen to you. And then you talk about inspiration of players. You was an inspiration to me years ago. I mentioned this on the phone the other day. I spoke to you. Just something that triggered that you said inspired me to go off and do my coaching badges and go to the route in terms of sports psychology and counselling and that. And I appreciate that. And you probably don't even know you did that, but I appreciate that. But one question before we go, my brother said to me, he said, "You've got to ask John about Beckenbauer."
Yes.
Franz Beckenbauer.
Yes.
He said, "Ask him about Franz Beckenbauer."
I actually don't know how I came to be doing this, but I was in Wales. And I don't know what, to this day, I mean, I can't remember why I was in Wales, but I was in Wales. And I was staying overnight. And just sitting there having a drink on my own, like you do, really no mates, just there, like, and just standing by the bar. I saw these fellas down there, and you know when someone looks immaculate, you know when you look at someone, and I always thought I dressed well, you know, and I looked at him and I thought, this is another league. Like, he looked immaculate. And all of a sudden, he half turned round at something, and it was Beckenbauer.
Yeah.
So I thought, sod it. So I went over there. I said, excuse me, I don't want to interrupt your evening. I says, but I'm a football manager in England. I says, and just wanted to take this opportunity of saying, what privilege to see you and say hello to you. Please sit down, he said. And we sat there and talked. And he was eloquent. He spoke English better than I did. And he was, and I got his autograph for Robert.
Yeah.
I've still got it.
Yeah.
And incredible. I've been lucky. I've met unbelievable people since I've done the job. But at that time, it was just, and like I expected, I actually expected to say, just wanted to say, okay, yeah, hey, good, thanks very much, thank you, goodbye, bye. Like, please have a seat, please. And we just spoke football.
Well, you started this conversation with Bobby Moore, and you ended with Franz.
And that was Franz Beckenbauer.
So
no, it is. But you know what I found in football, the people that I've met,
yeah.
I've never met one person that I couldn't say like was proper. Do you know what I mean? Like proper. And some like Bobby Robson was the nicest. Kevin Keegan, when Warren Barton went to Newcastle, I went up with him. And nicest. Alex Ferguson. I had when Barbara was in. It is weird, right? To get it done quick. When Barbara was in hospital, I had an award I had to get at the Dorchester Hotel from the LMA, and I wasn't going to go because Barbara. But all the kids and that was, no, you got to go. In the end, Robert came with me. Robert's wife, Becky, came, and my assistant from Maidstone, Hackend, come. So I did go. Six of us went. And many years ago, on one of my courses, on my course, I'd done some work with was Solskjaer.
Right.
So anyway, I got this. It's the awards evening. I wasn't the only award. I'm just saying there was lots of awards. Right. So I won this award, and so I'm just sitting at a table with these people, and then on my shoulder, and it was Ollie. John, how are you? He went, I'm so pleased you got that. Now, I spent a week with him on a course where you're not with him all, it's all different bits, but he just come over, manager of Manchester United now, and he just sat down and what's happening? Yeah, as a family, I was explaining to him about, this is not so well, my wife, blah, blah. Whenever you want to come to Man, just listen, there's my number, just ring me, you come to Manchester United, watch training, you want to watch a game, you just go. Unbelievable, wasn't it? That's football. That's the football. What I call the football family has, been amazing. I have a charity called the MCA Trust, not my charity, but I'm part of this charity. A friend of mine died with a brain tumour, and we do a charity for adults, but mostly kids with brain tumour, cancer and brain tumours.
Oh.
And we have a golf day every year. And so I think they only wrote me in because I've brought along Teddy Sheringham, Paul Parker, Harry Redknapp to be a guest speaker. And whoever I've asked ever, and I've had probably done it 15 times probably, and always get us to the name. Never a question. Yes, yeah, do it. Yeah, come and do it. Come. Unbelievable. I mean, as you know, Harry, I grew up with Harry, didn't I? So that's easy. But the football family, whenever I've asked for something from anyone, never been refused. It's brilliant. I have to say that, all of them.
Well, it's the same here today. We asked you to do it, and you was more than happy to do it. So no, I appreciate it.
More than happy.
John, I could listen to you all day.
Yeah, same.
But look, we've taken up enough of your time. Honestly, I really appreciate it. I've absolutely loved listening to you. It's been brilliant. It's been
Top
really
man,
good.
John. Thanks so much for it.
No, it's been a pleasure.